Good morning, and welcome to the Africa Weekly Talk. Today's subject on the docket is about the human race. It's about the human race, racist countries, and global racism towards Black people around the world. Yes, I said it. Global racism towards Black people around the world. But fellas, before I dive into this subject today, and what even made me talk about this subject today, I came across this German TV network, DW, program that they did about a couple of weeks ago, where they had this headline topic, which says, America's immigration policies have a racist past. America's immigration policies have a racist past. This was coming from DW, a German network. And basically, they talk about the history, the founding of America, and the role that racism also shaped its immigration policies. But fellas, I strongly believe that this subject that DW did a couple of weeks ago had more to do with the current situation in America. Taking into consideration the immigration policies of Donald J. Trump and how it is perceived around the globe as a racist policy towards people from different countries or Latin America and so on and so forth. So I think that this topic by DW had to do with the current situation going on right now. And if you look back, fellas, about a couple of years ago, since the passing of George Floyd, when the world came to see how a racist cop pretty much murdered George Floyd, that also sprang all across the globe and pretty much created the impression among citizens of the world in various countries that America is a very racist country where whites, treat Blacks and other minorities very poorly. So since the death of George Floyd, there has been this perception that has been around the world. The world citizens of various countries around the world, where it is perceived that America is a very racist country, which is very, very unfortunate, fellas, because America is the least racist country in the world. And I said it. America is the least racist country in the world. And I'll dive into this subject and give you my opinion after we watch this video by DW, where they talk about a little bit about the history of America and its relationship with race and its immigration policies and so on and so forth. So fellas, let's go ahead and just watch this video and also another video about the systematic racism also that some people talk about in America and so on and so forth. And then I'll come back and dissect this whole thing. So let's go ahead and watch this video.
America is tightening its borders, choosing who belongs and who doesn't.
Early morning raids in Chicago.
They are getting arrested.
Trump's promised crackdown on irregular migration has sparked controversy.
People are very afraid.
Immigration is treated almost like a crime here in the U.S.
It's a disgusting, dehumanizing way. We don't view as people essentially to work these hard labor jobs and then persecute them with ICE and the police.
And America is kind of built off immigrants.
While some immigrant families face separation and detention without trial, other families are welcomed, granted fast-track resettlement under the banner of persecution.
The president made it clear that Afrikaners in South Africa who were the victims of unjust racial discrimination would be welcome to come to the United States.
So how did the U.S. get here? To understand if the U.S. immigration system has been racist from the beginning, we must look at the complexity of how the United States of America came to be. In 1775, Britain's American colonies launched a war of independence that lasted ultimately until 1783. But as early as July 4th, 1776, the 13 American colonies formally declared their separation from Britain. Later that year, they adopted the name United States of America. After America finally gained independence from Britain, loyalty to the new nation mattered more than birthplace or parentage.
In the early days of the United States, citizenship involved being a white male landowner, which wasn't so great for the women and the people who weren't white and the people who didn't own land. So of course you had Southern farmers starting to bring in slaves from Africa, also not the happiest part of our history or the happiest circumstances of immigration. It wasn't until later on in America's history that we started seeing more immigration from other parts of Europe.
If you supported the US, you could become a full citizen. This applied to former British citizens who supported the revolution and became American citizens. Germans, the French, and other Northern Europeans were also allowed into the newly formed nation. In 1790, Congress passed the Naturalization Act of 1790, which said only free white people who were considered good or of good character could become US citizens. They also had to have lived in the US for at least 2 years and swear loyalty to the country. The law, however, excluded indentured servants, non-whites, and slaves from naturalization.
I think there's racism in the United States still, but I don't think that the law enforcement system is systemically racist.
I do not think that we have a systemic racism problem with law enforcement officers across this country.
Do you think systemic racism is a problem in law enforcement agencies in the United States?
Let's say this. I grew up at a time when there was real systemic racism.
Denials from Team Trump. Even as the Republicans' point person on this, who happens to be the only African-American GOP senator, also says it is an issue that cannot be fixed just by talking up economic news like Kudlow tried doing.
Having a job is certainly one of the paths forward for racial justice. I think it doesn't solve the problem of racism. That is a far more complicated, far more layered problem, because it starts with the heart, starts with fear and a sense of low self-esteem by those people who are racist.
All right, fellows. So you just saw a snippet of what this DW subject line, America's immigration policies have a racist past. And you heard a little bit about some of the issues in regards to systematic racism and so on and so forth. That sometimes people confuse with racism, because there are two different things. Systematic racism is racism ingrained in the system by the government of a country. And racist people are racist people based on individual experiences or upbringing and so on and so forth. So after watching this German TV networks program, fellows, I couldn't help myself but to chime in with my 2 cents on this topic today. I couldn't help myself, because looking at the history of racism, especially racism towards Black people and other minorities around the world, there's no place that you can pinpoint other than Europe. That is where pretty much modern day racism started from. It started with the Europeans. So it was kind of baffling, especially going through the comment section of this DW program that they did, where you see the ignorance of a lot of Europeans to think that somehow America is more racist than Europe. I'm sorry, fellas. I'm sorry. I beg to differ that. I've been to Europe. I know Europe pretty well. And there's no way you can convince me that America is more racist than Europe. Because Europe is more racist. I mean, the racism, that's where they started from, fellas. And we're talking about America was pretty much founded by Europeans, mainly from England at first, and then later Irish, Germans, French, Eastern Europe, Northern Europe, all migrating to America. With the backbone of the enslaved African. America was founded, as a matter of fact, with a backbone. It was founded with both enslaved Africans and few Europeans. So if you're talking about the history of how America became what it became in terms of its racism and its ingrained system, or the systematic racism that existed about 200 years ago, with Jim Crow laws, segregation laws, and so on and so forth, then if you have to go back to the history of the founding of this country, which was pretty much founded by Europeans who came here and eventually brought along with the enslaved Africans, who basically helped build this country. It was the enslaved Africans who pretty much built America as you see today. There's no ifs and buts about it, and there's no dispute about that. The role of enslaved Africans, because going back to 1619, that was when it is said to be that the first slaves, about 19 slaves, first entered the colony, the Virginia colony, on the coast of Florida and eventually to Virginia, started. Then you had the enslaved Africans that came in later. So at that time, you didn't have that many whites in America. And the level of racism wasn't as deep as what it will become later, when a lot of Europeans started migrating to the United States in the late 19th century and early 20th century. So when I saw this DW program's headline, America's immigration policy have a racist past, I was like, hold on. And then reading through the comment section and people, talking about how America is racist and all that stuff, I get it. Like I said, for the past few years, especially with the death of George Floyd, where the world came to see this racist cop having his knees on George Floyd's neck and all that stuff. So, I mean, it was all over the world. So there was this perception, created this bad image of America as being a very racist country. By the same token also, if you look around the world, you look at Europe, you look at other countries in Mexico, let's say Brazil, South America, Argentina, Uruguay, Chile. Then look at China, Japan, Saudi Arabia, in the Middle East areas, India, Iran. I bet you fellas, America is the least racist country in the world, period. Travel around the world and go to these places, fellas, as a black man. And then you will find out whether America is more racist than these countries that I just mentioned. These countries are very racist countries. But the point they try to make is that because if you look at America, it's the beacon of democracy, beacon of hope, liberty, and also happiness, and so forth. I get all of that. So a lot of time, America is looked at with this at the top of this high pedestal, and more like the top of the top. I get all of that. But you also look down deep into this whole situation about racism around the world, and you look at the way black people are treated around the world, whether in Europe, Asia, Middle East, Latin America, and you compare it to America. There is no better place for the black man in this world than the United States of America. And I said it. And I said it, and I'll say it again. There is no better place for the black man than the United States of America. Come on, we're talking about Germans. We're talking about DW. Talking about America's immigration racist past. Fellas, what are we talking about? Have we forgotten this country was founded by Europeans? They were the very people who brought this racism from Europe to America and founded this country with enslaving of Africans. And then you're talking about even prior to them founding this country, the colonization of countries all over the world. And how the Europeans colonized these countries. We talk about the French, we talk about Belgium, Congo. Come on, fellas. We talk about Bismarck of Germany, Belgium, Congo, the French, the British, with all their colonies all over the world, in Asia, the Middle East, Africa, Latin America. Talk about how the French treated the Haitians. Come on, fellas. So if we want to talk about racist people or country around the world, there's no racist continent than the Europe, period. No ifs and buts about it. No ifs and buts about it. There's no racist country in the world more than Europe. Because they are the beacon of racism. They started it with colonization, going all over the world, slaughtering people, taking their lands and so on and so forth. And then to have a German TV network talking about America's immigration policies and its racist past. Are you kidding me? I get it. Like I said, because of what had transpired a couple of years ago, because of George Floyd, because a lot of people don't know the history of the world. So they see these images, and then you hear about the immigration policies that is going on right now. And then they tend to believe that, oh, America is the worst place, America is this, America is that. But fellows, aside of all of that, America, because individuals around the world also know, is the beacon of hope, democracy, and so forth. This is also the very place that every citizen around the world is either here or wants to come here. It can be both. It can be the most racist country around the world. By the same token also, citizens around the world want to come to the United States of America more than any place on this planet Earth. It can't be both. There must be a reason why the citizens around the world want to come to America. Because they also believe that America is the best place with the best hospitality for other citizens around the world to come to and enjoy life and live a prosperous life and become better people around in this country than anywhere else around the globe. They know that. That is why every citizen around the world wants to come to the United States of America. So this notion of Europeans networks trying to make it seem like, oh, America is racist and America is this and America is that. And so, like I said, fellas, the beacon of racism can only be traced only to Europe. Where are these same 18th century historians of Europe, which pretty much started racist concepts against Africans by first erasing the history of Africa to the world? These are the very people first that started changing the history books about Africa, talking about Egypt, talking about civilizations that spans thousands and thousands of years of Black Africans in Egypt, destroying the noses of the Sphinx and all those things. And all those things were done because of the fact that they could never believe that Black Africans were the foundation of the world civilization. So they had to do something to make Black Africans look inferior, like what they have done through slavery. So for them to see something that was not done by Europeans or any other race, they couldn't believe it. So they came up with changing the subject, the topic, the history, indoctrinating history of the African civilization in Egypt, in Nubia, in Sudan. What is Sudan today? I'm talking about Egypt, talking about Kemet, not even Egypt, which is the Greek name. And everything that they saw with the French archaeologists, all the way to American and British archaeologists, all of them saw exactly what they saw about ancient Egyptian civilization. But because of slavery and the way they saw Black people when they first got into the interior of Africa, they could not believe that these are the very people that gave us the civilization, the Greek civilization, that we Europeans or white people tout and talk about. It all came from these very, very black Africans that today we are enslaving. So now they have to change the narrative. So they start rewriting history, whitewashing ancient Egyptian history. And that's where racism starts. It's not just by treating people like subhumans. It also starts with rewriting history, taking away what others have done and created, the contributions that other races have contributed around to the world. And all is part of being a racist philosophy. So at the end of the day, if you're talking about racism, like I said before, America is the best place for African Americans, for black people all over the world than any place else on this planet Earth. Because there's no place in the Middle East that you can convince me that treats black people better than the United States of America. I mean, any country that you can, if you know a place around the world that you think that black people around the world are treated better than the United States of America, please let me know. And I would like to visit that country myself. Because you ain't going to tell me that Chinese in China treat black people better than in America. I'm sorry, it ain't happening. Go down there and find out. These are blatant discriminatory things that they do towards black people. Yes, America have its checkered past. I get it. I mean, segregation laws and Jim Crow laws and all that stuff. Those were systematic racism. I get that. Yes, it did happen. 70, 80 years ago. Yes. And I'm not going to defend that. I get that. Yes, America has its checkered past. The history doesn't sound good or look good. But for the past 70 years, since the 60s, right after the abolition of segregation laws in the South and so on and so forth, with the Civil Rights Act and everything else, there's no better place on this planet Earth for black people than the United States of America. Yes, people will say, oh, there are still systematic racism and all that stuff. Look, fellas, a racist person is going to be a racist person. And even though the system, it's in the system, the federal system, the state system, the local government systems, it is against the law to discriminate. But at the end of the day also, you have to understand that it is human beings that also mans these systems. And a racist person sitting at the helm of an organization would definitely, if he's racist, would definitely use his racism to deny somebody that he or she doesn't like what he or she deserves. So I get that. But in terms of government policy, like what existed, talk about Jim Crow laws, those were laws by states. So that one I get it. Those are systematic laws. So I get that. But we are not talking about right now. We don't have systematic laws in America today that says that black people cannot drink water from white people's fountain or sit at the back of buses or trains and so on and so forth. All doesn't exist for the past 60, 70 years. So we're talking about 60, 70 years to date. There's nothing that you can talk about that says that America's system, sanctioned by the government, either federal government, state government, or local government, is racist. No, I'm sorry, it is not. But individuals within a system, yes, they are definitely going to be racist all over the world. I mean, you go to Europe, you go to Asia, you go to Africa, everywhere in the world, there are people who are going to be racist. So let's separate individuals who are racist towards people and the systems that are designed to be racist towards its citizens. And unfortunately, fellows, there's no better place. There's no better place that gives the right of minorities to do everything that they can do in this country than the United States of America. I mean, these are facts, fellows. These are facts. Yes, I get it. I know people are going to be like, oh, what are you talking about? America did this. I get all of that. In the case of George Floyd, that was an individual police racist white officer. That is ingrained in that person. At the end of the day, the system also dealt with him. That's the point I'm making. So an individual, yes, you can walk down the street today and you see a white cop who is racist. And you also see another white cop who is not racist. You know, you can see a Chinese cop who is racist. You can see a black cop who is racist. So at the end of the day, that is an individual thing. But then when you talk about the system, the laws, that pretty much sanctions that. That is the different story. You know what I'm saying? So that's the point I'm making. And then you look at Eastern Europe, we don't even want to talk about it. So look, fellas, look. This subject today, man. I'm looking at this subject and say, hold on. You go to Eastern Europe. Go to Eastern Europe, Poland, Hungary, Russia. The Slavs. You know, and then go to Turkey, back there, and go to the Caucasus. Come on, fellas. Come on. And the way they made it sound like, oh, America is this. Fellas, if you want to find out, check it out. The only thing that saves you is that when they hear you as an American, they treat you a little bit different because you're an American. But if you're a black person from Africa or anywhere else, that's a different ballgame. So, but the point is this, fellas. There's no place that treats black people. As a matter of fact, it's not just black people. America is the most welcoming country in the world. It welcomes every citizen of every country. I'm not saying this because I live in America and so on and so forth. No, fellow, that is the fact. Come to this country and go and look at Asians, people from different parts of the world, and they will testify to what I'm just saying. They will tell you themselves that, look, this is a country where if you are willing and ready to dedicate yourself, work hard, study, do everything you want to do, it gives you the opportunity to be whatever you want to be. Yes, are there going to be stumbling blocks? Of course, stumbling blocks everywhere in the world. You go to your own native countries, there are stumbling blocks there. And you don't have different races there to say, oh, this person is putting me down because this person is white or black. No, your own country, same people. There are still stumbling blocks down there. So, of course, in every system, every society, there are going to be people who are going to be in your way. But at the end of the day also, this is a system that if you are ready and willing to work hard and dedicate yourself, you can break through all those things and become whatever you want to be. And there's no better place in this world than the United States of America. And it's not just coming from maybe a black person. A Chinese person will testify to that. An Indian person will testify to that. A Latin American person will testify to that. A white European will testify to that. Pretty much every citizen of the world that lives in the United States of America can testify to what I'm saying. So, fellows, yes, America has its checkered past. It goes back, yes, segregation laws, Jim Crow laws, and there are still pockets of racist people, who definitely are going to be there. No, regardless of what government does, regardless of government policy, you're always going to have people who are just going to hate and hate, regardless. That's part of human beings living on this earth. You're always going to have people who are going to hate, who are going to be racist. By the end of the day, the point I'm making is that, fellas, there's also no any place on this planet Earth that is better for black people and other minorities than the United States of America. So, fellas, I couldn't help myself but to chime in on this subject today because of the DW. Because I'm looking at DW, talk about German network, and talking about America's immigration policy and this racist past. Germans didn't even give citizenship. There was nothing called citizenship by birth in Germany until quite recently. Even if they have it, I don't even know. You go to China and go and find out if you have a child in China, if you are a naturalized citizen in China, if your child is a citizen. Go to Japan and go to all these Middle Eastern countries and other Asian countries. And you find out if you have the same kind of liberty, same kind of citizenship, and so on and so forth. It ain't happening down there, fellas. And they know it. So, fellas, man, like I said before, yes, America has its checkered past. It's been through a lot. It's still a very young country. and we are still thriving through it. And it's getting better and better and better by the day, by the night, by the week, by the month, and by the year. Because same black people who were once thought to be inferior today elected the first African-American president, Barack Hussein Obama, by American citizens. Which European country will go to the pool? I'm not talking about parliamentarian system, like the British system. I'm not talking about that. That is, you elect through parliament. I'm talking about people going to the pool themselves and choosing their leader that will pick the former slaves or a black man as their president. I don't know there's any place on this planet Earth run by predominantly European or Asian or Latin American that would do that, other than the United States of America. And that was Barack Hussein Obama. So fellas, I mean, I can't help myself but to tell you guys, man, it is unfortunate. I get the Germans, they're trying to, finesse things, to make it about. If you look at the history, Europe is the capital of racism. Every racist thing that came to America was brought by Europeans. They were the ones who brought it here. So they cannot devoid themselves for America's immigration racial policies like they're saying. They were the ones who brought it from Europe and establish it here. So they have a hand in every racist thing that they believe that America has. They are the grandfather of it. They are the grandfather of America's racism. It's Europe. They started it. They brought it. All right, fellas. If it's Sunday, it's the Africa Weekly Talk. God bless you guys and have a great week. Thank you guys and peace and love.